Cheat code number 1, morning sunlight. Most people wake up and immediately reach for some form of dopamine. Phones, notifications, coffee, artificial light. But your brain doesn't actually wake up from caffeine and mindlessly scrolling first thing. It wakes up from light, specifically sunlight. Within the first hour after you wake up, light hitting your eyes sends a signal straight to your brain's master clock. That signal tells your body 3 things at once. It's daytime, be alert, start the countdown for sleep later. When that signal lands, melatonin shuts down, cortisol rises in a healthy way, and your nervous system stops acting like it's still half asleep. This is why some people feel awake before coffee, and others feel exhausted no matter how much they drink. And no, indoor lighting doesn't work. Even bright overhead bulbs are biologically weak compared to outdoor light. A cloudy morning outside delivers exponentially more information to your brain than your kitchen ever will. Miss that signal too often and your circadian rhythm drifts. Sleep gets lighter, energy gets unstable, focus turns inconsistent, mood follows. The fix is almost annoyingly simple. Go outside within an hour of waking, 5 to 10 minutes, look toward the sky, not directly at the sun, and let the light hit your eyes. That's it. Cheat code number 2, breathing. Most people think their mood is a mental problem. A lot of the time, it's usually a breathing problem. Your nervous system is constantly asking one question: am I safe or not? And the fastest way it decides is by watching how you breathe. Fast, shallow breathing tells your brain there's a threat, even if you're just sitting at your desk. Slow, controlled breathing sends the opposite signal. This isn't meditation, it's physiology. Breathing patterns directly influence the vagus nerve, the communication line between your lungs, heart, and brainstem. Change the pattern, and your stress response changes with it. Box breathing calms the nervous system. Breathe in 4 seconds, hold 4 seconds, breathe out 4 seconds, hold 4 seconds. Repeat. The physiological sigh, 2 quick inhales followed by a long exhale, can reset stress almost instantly. You don't need an app. You don't need a retreat. You don't need to believe in it. You're walking around with a built-in control panel for your stress and focus. Most people never think to use it. Cheat code number 3, dopamine. If everything feels a little flat lately, it's probably not burnout. It's dopamine fatigue. Dopamine isn't the pleasure chemical. It's the anticipation chemical, the thing that makes effort feel worth it. And it runs on contrast. Endless scrolling, sugar, notifications, constant stimulation. Your brain adapts. Dopamine sensitivity drops. Normal rewards stop registering. Focus gets harder. Motivation feels unreliable. Everything costs more effort for less payoff. That's not laziness, that's neurochemistry. A dopamine reset doesn't remove pleasure, it restores sensitivity. Doing one task without background noise. Turning off notifications for a few hours. Taking a short break from social media or junk food. Even small windows of low stimulation let your dopamine system recalibrate, and when it does, effort feels lighter again. It's not exciting, just more doable. Cheat code number 4, magnesium. If you feel tense, foggy, restless, or weirdly exhausted, your nervous system isn't broken. It might just be undersupported. Magnesium is involved in over 300 processes in the body: sleep, stress regulation, muscle tension, and neural signaling. Most people don't get enough. Modern diets strip it out. Stress burns through it. Caffeine, alcohol, and intense exercise drain it faster. Low magnesium doesn't show up dramatically. It shows up quietly. Poor sleep, anxiety, tight muscles, brain fog. And not all magnesium works the same way. Some forms barely absorb. Others cause digestive issues. Forms like magnesium glycinate tend to be more bioavailable and calming to the nervous system. This isn't a miracle fix. It's friction removal. Cheat code number 5, creatine. Creatine has a reputation problem. Most people associate it with gym culture. But creatine isn't just for muscles. It's fuel. Your brain burns enormous amounts of energy. Creatine helps recycle ATP, the energy currency of your cells, so your brain can work longer without fatigue. That's why creatine is studied in neuroscience, not just sports science. Research links it to improved working memory, reduced mental fatigue, and mood stability, especially during sleep deprivation or high stress. It's one of the most studied supplements in the world with a long track record of safety. So no, it's not just about gains. And as with adding any new supplements, check with your doctor. Cheat code number 6. Cold exposure. Cold exposure works, but not the way social media sells it. You don't need an ice bath to calm your nervous system, you don't need grit, and you definitely don't need to suffer for content. The mental benefits of cold come from reflexes, not endurance. When cold hits your face, it activates something called the mammalian dive reflex. It's a built-in survival response that slows your heart rate, constricts blood vessels, and shifts your body out of fight or flight. In other words, it tells your nervous system, you're safe, slow down. That's why cold on the face works so fast. The method is almost boring. A bowl of cold water. Submerge your face. 10 to 30 seconds. That's it. No ice tank, no shaking, no heroic breathing techniques. Your vagus nerve gets stimulated, stress hormones downshift, and your body resets like it thinks you just dove underwater. Cold plunges still have their place for inflammation, recovery, or training mental toughness. But for a quick mental reset, this works faster, is easier to recover from, and costs nothing. Sometimes the cheat code isn't more intensity, it's knowing how to make it work best for you. Cheat code number 7. Red light therapy. Red light therapy sounds fake, which is unfortunate because there's real science behind it. Specific wavelengths of red and near-infrared light interact with mitochondria, improving cellular energy production. More energy means faster repair, reduced inflammation, and better recovery. It's been linked to skin health, joint pain reduction, muscle recovery, and hormone regulation. But it's not magic. More is not better. Moderation is key. Used correctly, short sessions, proper wavelengths, it's one of the more promising tools in biohacking. Cheat code number 8. Sleep timing. If you've ever slept a full 8 hours and still felt exhausted, it probably wasn't bad sleep. It was bad timing. Your brain doesn't sleep in one long, smooth stretch. It moves through cycles: light sleep, deep sleep, REM, roughly every 90 minutes. Then it repeats. When you wake up near the end of a cycle, your brain is already closer to being alert. When you wake up in the middle of deep sleep, everything feels heavy. Your body, your thoughts, your mood. That groggy, disoriented feeling isn't laziness, it's sleep inertia, and it has very little to do with how motivated you are. This is why just get more sleep doesn't always fix the problem. Timing matters almost as much as duration. You don't need a ring, a watch, or a sleep lab to use this. Just count backward from your wake-up time in 90-minute blocks. If you need to wake up at 6 a.m., aim to fall asleep around 10:30 p.m. or midnight. Both land closer to the end of a sleep cycle instead of the middle. And yes, this means you might feel better on 7 hours timed correctly than 8 hours timed wrong. Sleep isn't just about how long you're unconscious, it's about when your brain decides to come back online. Cheat code number 9. Intermittent fasting. Your brain doesn't always need breakfast. In fact, for a lot of people, eating first thing in the morning does the opposite of what they expect. Instead of energy, it creates fog. Here's why. When you're digesting food, your body shifts resources toward digestion. Insulin rises, blood flow gets redirected, and your brain moves into a lower alert state. When you're not digesting, insulin stays low and your brain stays in a more energy-efficient mode. Focus tends to feel cleaner, thinking feels lighter. That's why so many people notice sharper mornings when they delay their first meal, even before caffeine. This isn't about extreme fasting or skipping meals all day. For most people, it's as simple as stopping after dinner and waiting a little longer before eating again the next day. No 48-hour fasts, no suffering. There's also evidence that short fasting windows support pathways tied to brain health, stress resilience, and mental flexibility. That said, this isn't for everyone. Certain health conditions, stress profiles, or relationships with food change the equation, and forcing it defeats the point. But for many people, intermittent fasting doesn't make mornings harder. It makes them quieter, less mental clutter, more stable energy, without adding effort. What all of these cheat codes have in common isn't discipline,
or motivation,
or willpower. They work because they stop fighting the nervous system and start cooperating with it. Light tells your brain when to wake up. Breath tells it when to calm down. Timing tells sleep when to end. Chemistry decides whether effort feels heavy or manageable. Most people try to improve their lives by pushing harder. These work by removing friction instead. And here's the part most people miss. If small changes like these can shift focus, mood, sleep, and energy this much, what else have we labeled as hard when it's really just never been explained clearly? Because once you understand what's happening underneath, things stop feeling harder than they need to be, and you start asking, what's happening underneath, and how do I work with it instead of against it? If this way of explaining things makes your brain feel calmer instead of overwhelmed, drop a comment with the cheat code you've tried, or the one you're tempted to try next.
And don't forget to subscribe.